Yo, 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 it's your girl and boy CT. I'm Cyndy Barnes.
And I'm Travis Barnes.
And we are the founders of the Overcomers Podcast.
Sponsored by Journey333. That is a place of mind, body, spirit that helps you with fitness, coaching, and nutrition to look better, live better, and feel better. We produce these episodes every week for your enjoyment to help people to overcome adversity and live their dreams. Yo, yo, yo.
Yo, 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 it's your girl and boy CT. I'm Cyndy Barnes.
And I'm Travis Barnes.
And we're the founders of the Overcomers Podcast.
The Overcomers Podcast is sponsored by Journey333. That's a place of fitness, coaching, and nutrition. It's mind, body, spirit, where we help you to look better, live better, and feel better. Today, we got a special treat. I was talking to Cyndy, and I said, this time away, maybe we could do a podcast that's all about the co-founder of Journey, the co-founder of the Overcomers Podcast, one of the, how shall I say, I wanted to say biggest overcomers I know, but big might not be the word, but someone who's overcome more things than a lot of other people that I've met in my life. And that is my wife, Cyndy Barnes. Everybody's been wondering about her, most recently overcoming cancer. Prior to that, though, we've overcome so much. Cyndy's been right there with me in the trenches as we've overcome our business struggles. Prior to us having Journey, Cyndy was right there waiting as we overcame a decade of incarceration. Me on the inside, her on the outside. So, Cyndy, I want to introduce your story of overcoming. I feel like it's been so much centered around me just because I was the guy that went to prison, which isn't a bragging right. I suppose it's just something to talk about once you've maybe had enough success to highlight that adversity and show people that they can overcome. But let's talk about you. And let's go in chronological order. Let's go in chronological order. So Cyndy, take us back. You and I, we get married. We were married in the millennium, 2000, right? And then it wasn't long after that, I was going to be going to prison.
Right. So yeah, got married in 2000, had our daughter in 2002. Mm-hmm. So 2 years after we were married, and she was one when you went in.
Yeah. A little background information. It was actually for a crime that happened before we even knew that we were going to have a daughter. Yeah, that's just how long the court system takes sometimes to deal with things. But let's talk about as Todd Durkin likes to call her, Saint Cyndy. When somebody gets sentenced to what I was sentenced to originally, 188 months, we had to appeal to get 10 years. And it was just nonviolent drug offense. We won't get into too many details because not really important.
But that's for a different show.
Yeah, I would say that's a longer show, right? We can talk all the details you want. I'm an open book, but I told you when I was sent to jail that I didn't think that maybe we should be bringing our daughter there and things like that. You had an interesting response, and I think it was a life-changing one for me. Let's talk about how you faced my incarceration. Let's talk about it.
Well, it certainly wasn't easy. And when Travis was first sentenced and, to almost 16 years until we won the appeal, he said that jail is no place for his daughter to visit. So he didn't think that I should bring her. And so I said, no, she needs to know she has a dad that loves her and cares about her. And we got to get through this. So we visited every single weekend. And so fast forward a little bit, it was a couple years into his sentence that we actually got granted the opportunity to go back in front of a judge on his appeal. And then fast forward about another year, because it took about another year in order to get in front of that judge. And then we won the appeal.
Yeah.
And so his sentence went from 188 months down to 120 months. So 10 years. So we were already like 4.5, maybe 5 years into the sentence. So that meant we were like almost halfway.
Almost halfway.
We were about halfway there. So by the time we won the appeal, and so
Let's talk about those visits, because and being the overcomer that you are, rather inspiring story. Cyndy, obviously, it was a big struggle for her. Big struggle. Cyndy moved someplace that she had never been. When you're sentenced in the federal system, which I was sentenced in Las Vegas, Nevada, but chose my home address back in Pennsylvania with family, so that Cyndy would have the support of my family. Thank you to my family as we do this podcast, just for being so supportive. My mother had opened up her home to her. My grandfather was still alive. He was very supportive, things such as that. But Cyndy, that took a lot of courage on your part to say, okay, well, I kind of know this family, I've had some interactions with them, but I'm going to go someplace I've never been. And then you talked about how you visited every weekend. How did you choose your job? I know, but they don't know.
So first off, if you've ever heard of Sayre, Pennsylvania, it's a which I know a lot of you that are going to watch this will know where I'm talking about, but it's a tiny little town.
Don't miss it.
Right. And so I had never even visited there. So packed up our stuff. My parents flew out to Las Vegas. My mom flew out, and she flew our daughter back, who was, I don't know, not quite 2, I guess, at the time, maybe close to 3, I guess, she was by the time we actually moved to Sayre. So my dad and I got in a U-Haul, put all my stuff, in there, and we traveled across the country to Sayre, Pennsylvania from Las Vegas, and I went to a town that I had never even visited, which was scary, I guess, uneasy, but I did choose a job at a local grocery store that would allow me to have Fridays and Sundays off. So in the federal system, if you have a loved one that is incarcerated in a federal system, it's all visiting on a point schedule. So Travis was allotted a certain amount of points, as they all are, per month. And you would get 2 for a Saturday and 2 points for a Sunday, but you only got 1 point for a Friday. So I could visit, Destiny and I were allowed to visit every Friday and every Sunday with that point schedule, and still be able to see him twice a week, every single month, so we would be able to go every week. So I chose my job based on that if someone would allow me to be able to have the days off that I wanted, so that we could visit every weekend.
Yeah, I know some interesting deli stories about some of your tougher customers, and it's just so impressive that you did that. I'd like people to get a couple of inspired by maybe a couple of core values, or just some ways that you live. That's not the first time you just picked up and moved someplace that you'd never been, because how did you get to Vegas?
Jumped on an airplane with 6 suitcases and flew to Vegas.
Friend of yours just invited you from Newport, New Hampshire. She was already out there and said you should come too. So Cyndy says okay.
So I gave a month's notice at my job and sold all my stuff and grabbed 6 suitcases and loaded up what I had left, and found my way to Vegas.
Well, so to begin with, you're a courageous woman. You're courageous. What makes you, like, is there a philosophy that you have about life that made you say, okay, I've never been to Vegas. I got a friend that's living in Vegas. She invited me. I'm going to sell everything I own, pack up 6 suitcases, and just go to Vegas. Like, is it YOLO? You only live once? What is it? Like, what's going through your head when you do something like that?
I don't know. It's excitement. I don't know. I'm a little bit of a thrill seeker. And so the Vegas trip was definitely, let's just do it. What do I got to lose? I come from a very small town, small like Sayre, probably even a little smaller in New Hampshire, Newport, New Hampshire. And I just wanted to get out, go someplace different. I never wanted to just stay there my whole life. So
would you say it's like the things you don't do that you regret the most? So take chances like that.
For sure. Yeah.
And then I think the big thing for people to get, I'm sure that we have either people that are aspiring to be married or people that are married listening to this show right now. What makes a woman willing to wait 10 years? What kind of core values, what kind of philosophies does she have about life to where she's going to be adamant that her daughter has to know her father? She's going to take a job based on coming the maximum amount of visits. She's going to spend all of her money that she gets from working in a deli, which is not a good paying job, on gas money to drive an hour and a half each way, sometimes more than 2 hours, because I was at 2 different places, and one was a little longer than an hour and a half. One was about 2.5 hours, right? Almost
One
3.
way, yeah.
Yeah, one way. So 5-hour round trips. What is the philosophy? What is the core value that made you do that?
So I guess for me, I take my vows very seriously, through better or worse, sickness and in health, till death do us part. And I knew that I love Travis with all my heart. And I would have waited the 16 years, for him to come back home. I just, I don't know. I think it's till death do us part. I feel like there's a lot of people that give up so easy. It's like, oh, you have a couple fights or something's going wrong or you have money struggles or something. And trust me, we've been through all those, we in almost 22 years, we've definitely had other struggles other than just, incarceration. But I don't know. I just would have waited forever, and
I'm a lucky man, guys. I'm a lucky man. It's not a common thing for people to have the kind of commitment that you've had towards me, with vows until death do us part, and loving me with all your heart. And I thank you for that. You mentioned that we've had other struggles, and some people that are friends of ours or that know us, that watch this show, I mean, parenting struggles,
for sure.
Yeah, right. Parenting struggles, right? Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
When you do things wrong when you're younger, you don't want your kids to. You don't want your kids to make the same mistakes. And sometimes you put all the ingredients together and it still doesn't quite make a cake, right? You can move into the best school districts or do different things, have a life that's about being healthy, such as a gym, whatever those kind of things should be good influences. Get them involved in extracurricular activities. But then sometimes there's still things like depression or just, plain old rebellion or, we've dealt with all those things. And I consider you to be one tough mama when it comes to that, because just like it says at our gym, you've never given up. Never given up. You've just been very dedicated, doing everything you could as a mother. And I don't know if the last several years, or Destiny's almost 20, the last 20 years, have taught you anything that you could share with people that may be having parenting struggles.
So just, our daughter will get on here and tell her story, but just a little bit of a background. Our daughter suffers with anxiety and depression and has had several suicide attempts, many struggles in her life. And I don't know, I feel like we all make mistakes for sure. But I feel like we've tried very hard and done the best with whatever tools we knew to use and do. But she suffers, she struggles. And she herself just got out of jail. She just did 6 months. So yeah, she's got some struggles, but I feel like love conquers all. It was the love that I had for Travis that kept us together as a family through nearly a decade of incarceration. I feel like the love that we've had for our daughter has kept her alive. And through all her struggles, I feel like there's one thing for sure that she knows is that her parents love her and that we're always here. Like, we don't give up if she makes a bad choice. We don't give up if she's messed up again or, gone down the same road numerous times. Love conquers all.
Yeah.
You got to love them through it.
Love them through
I
it.
loved you through incarceration, and we continue to love her through her struggles.
Yeah. Love unconditionally. Love unconditionally. That's how we are to love each other. And the other thing, though, is if you want to be free of judgment, take time to see yourself and other people. Anytime that Destiny's ever been angry or depressed or acting out of character, not her highest self, not who she is. Instead of being in judgment, nowadays I'm trying to just move into, yep, I've been there, acted like that, so we're not separate, right? We're all capable of going there. Right? So, these are just some struggles that we're highlighting. Cyndy just said financial, business, all sorts of different things that we've had to overcome, relationship struggles and parenting struggles. But most recently, one of the reasons I wanted to highlight you right now, and I think people really want to hear from you. We got a community of love and support that's just been awesome. Thank you to everybody on Facebook, all your prayers and positive thoughts for Cyndy. And here she is, just a little over 2 weeks after surgery.
2 weeks, 1 day.
2 weeks, 1 day. 2 weeks, 1 day. And well, Cyndy, what did you think when, you can tell your story right now. You went to the doctor. The doctor, felt some nodules on your neck. You had to get tested. Most of the time the test comes back that it was nothing. This one came back that it was something. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll just go with the recent.
Oh, no, I think we should actually go back. 10 years ago, Cyndy had nodules on her neck and had a test, and the test was inconclusive. They didn't get enough. So what did Cyndy do? She said.
So it was 9 years ago. So 9 years ago, my doctor said, that she felt nodules on my throat and that I should have an ultrasound. So I went for the ultrasound, and depending upon what diameter your nodule is, you should get a biopsy.
More than a centimeter?
And mine was more than a centimeter. So they wanted me to get a biopsy. So I went and I got a biopsy, and it was awful. And I cried and I hated it.
Because they're sticking needles in your neck.
Yeah. And they say, don't breathe, don't move, don't swallow while the needle is in your neck. And so they have to do it 4 different times, and they move it around, and it's not fun. So 3 days later, they called and they said that the test is inconclusive because they didn't get enough. And so I had to wait for my thyroid to heal 6 to 8 months before I could go back and be retested. That was in 2012. And right now it is 2021. And so I moved and I got a different doctor, whatever. Our business led us to a different town. So we moved. I had a different doctor, and it was never talked about again. And no one ever mentioned it. And so I never mentioned it. And I figured I don't have a problem. I swallow fine. I eat fine. My thyroid works fine. So I didn't want to have that test again. Moved back to Sayre and got a doctor back in the same hospital that I had, almost 10 years ago. And she asked me about the nodules. And so I told her the story, and she said, you need to go for another biopsy. And I said, no, I'm not doing that again. And so we had to make a deal, me and my new doctor. And she said, ultrasound. And if it's grown, then biopsy. So yes, it had grown. And as a matter of fact, there were several now instead of just the one. So it was very fast. I went in for the biopsy. Still didn't like it. It still was not fun. But within 24 hours, they called and said that I had cancer. So
Yeah.
met with the surgeon,
Well,
and
let's talk about that though. I mean, just getting a call like that. Nobody ever wants to hear a phone call that says that you have cancer. So Um, I just think that you were very emotional. I was very emotional. It was actually a voicemail that told us, so we went right down there. Despite our emotions, despite our fears, we went down there to,
the
we kinda
doctor's
had
office.
yeah, to the doctor's
Right.
office because we called and then he was busy, but he just left a voicemail like that. So we thought it was important we got to talk to him and really find out what it meant for us. And I just think that there's a couple lessons there. Like one, of course, you're going to be afraid, but then you have to face your struggles head on, like you did, and then use your resources. We have not only so many Facebook friends that have sent prayers and positive thoughts, but
Oh my goodness. So many.
Dr. Cassetta and other doctors, Dr. Rupik, just different people that reached out or we reached out to that are just part of our circle and could advise us and guide us and use those resources. I think it's very important. Sometimes we want to withdraw and just be afraid and almost like get stuck in our fears. But yeah, you did.
I wouldn't have reached out to anybody.
Yeah, right.
I probably wouldn't have told anybody.
Right.
Travis did.
I believe in the power of our resources and the power of prayer and positive thoughts. And and so because of those resources, our appointment that was further out got moved up. Then the doctor was willing to do surgery very quickly.
Mhm.
And here you are 2 weeks and 1 day later.
Right.
Well, what do you have to share with people about your recovery, your surgery?
So, anyone that's had surgery, it's no fun. Scary and high anxiety, and you feel like crap for a couple of days. But honestly, I think the scar looks pretty good.
Yeah,
Well,
I'd
it's not
say
a
so.
scar quite
Yeah.
yet. It's still,
Look at me, I'm looking in there. I could have looked right there.
it's still healing. Obviously, it's
sure.
only been 2 weeks. But I think it's going to really kind of go away and be almost you won't be able to see it. You won't notice it.
I think it's doing really good.
But
She's been wearing her sun hats. They gave her 2 weeks for recovery time. So week 2, we took vacation time and she's been covering up from the sun. And
so right, I've been wearing a little scarf
Yeah.
and wearing my little sun hats when we're out in the sun. But honestly, I had surgery on Thursday, and so Thursday and Friday were rough. Saturday was, I was pretty tired still, and it just hurt, inside and outside of my throat. But by Sunday, we were running errands, and I was staying awake all day. And
Going for walks.
yeah, we went for walks, and I'm very fortunate. I'm fortunate for so many reasons that I had such love and support via phone calls, text messages,
Flowers,
Facebook.
all the
Oh my
flowers,
goodness, I
okay.
got so many bouquets of flowers and cards, and just the love from everyone that I'm surrounded around is amazing. My husband was beside me at my bedside when I woke up, and couldn't stay awake. I would try to tell a story and fall back asleep, and it was crazy.
It's like a trilogy. Got to hear the story in 3 different parts.
And but it was I really feel well, and my voice is fine. I'm fortunate. So
Yeah.
here I sit, cancer free.
Yes. So all you overcomers, she's got one more, it's going to be a radioactive iodine treatment, just to almost like insurance, right? You kill any cells that might have moved
Mhm.
around.
That'll be November.
But yeah, we are cancer free. Maybe there's a lesson that early detection is the best prevention. Maybe there could have been a half a thyroid to remove 10 years ago, and then there was more nodules. But then when you meet an obstacle, you face it head on, and that's what you've done such a great job of. And we have had good support, and I think people should embrace that support. Our Journey members and our Journey teammates, they're like family, and they've been so good with food and flowers and
Mhm.
chocolates and just love, just reaching out to say, hey, how you doing?
And all
Text,
the prayers.
messages, prayers, positive thoughts.
Everybody.
They said the surgery went so smooth. It was like one of the smoothest ones they've ever done. I believe that that's all the power of the positive thoughts and love and prayer. And maybe that's the message of today's episode. Maybe we'll title it "Never Stop Loving," or "Embrace the Love" or something, because you've done that with me. You've done that with Destiny, and most recently, you got to receive that. For just all the times you're always loving people through things. So really good. The most inspirational overcomer I know. There she is, Cyndy Barnes, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for tuning in.
Oh, thank you guys. Lots of love.
Thanks for spending part of our vacation with us. Hey, thanks for tuning in to the Overcomers Podcast, sponsored by Journey333. When I am not hosting the Overcomers Podcast, I am working at one of our fitness franchises so that I can continue to help people overcome adversity on a daily basis. That's right, people come to the Journey333 fitness franchises because they want a coach in their life. They want somebody to help them overcome the adversities of life, motivate them to higher levels of greatness, bring out their potential, help them lose weight, get off medications, fight depression, fight anxiety. That's what we do on a regular basis. If you feel like you want your life to be about helping more people to overcome their adversities, if you feel like you're an overcomer and you want to create more overcomers, then maybe owning a Journey333 franchise would be for you. To find out more, go to www.journeyfitness333.com.